Liam Hawthorne parked his truck in front of a charming yet slightly dilapidated house nestled in a quiet neighborhood of Portland, Oregon. The sun filtered through the trees, casting playful shadows on the ground. He stepped out, taking a moment to admire the overgrown garden that surrounded the property. It was clear that this place had once been a vibrant sanctuary, but now it needed a touch of love and creativity, qualities Liam had in abundance. As he approached the front door, he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was his first meeting with Oliver Sinclair, the homeowner and an art gallery owner known for his exquisite taste and flair for aesthetics. Liam had heard whispers about Oliver's charm and charisma, but he was determined to keep things professional. After all, he was here to discuss a landscaping project, not to get swept away in romantic fantasies. Oliver opened the door with a warm smile that instantly put Liam at ease. He was taller than Liam had imagined, with tousled dark hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to sparkle with mischief. "You must be Liam. Come in," he said, gesturing for him to enter. "Thanks for having me," Liam replied, stepping inside. The interior of the house was just as captivating as the exterior, filled with art pieces that reflected Oliver's artistic spirit. Each painting seemed to tell a story, drawing Liam deeper into Oliver's world. "Let me show you the garden," Oliver said, leading Liam outside. As they stepped into the backyard, Liam felt a rush of inspiration. The garden was a wild tangle of plants and flowers, vibrant yet chaotic. "It has potential," Oliver said, observing Liam's reaction. Liam nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely. With some careful planning and creativity, we can transform this into a beautiful space." Oliver leaned against a wooden fence, his expression thoughtful. "I've always wanted it to be a place where I can host gatherings, art shows, dinners with friends, something vibrant and alive." Liam couldn't help but admire Oliver's passion. "We can create different zones, a cozy seating area surrounded by flowers, maybe even a small herb garden for your kitchen." As they discussed ideas, their conversation flowed effortlessly. They shared laughter over quirky design concepts and exchanged stories about their lives. Liam found himself captivated not just by Oliver's artistic vision but by his warmth and genuine nature. At one point, while examining an old tool shed at the back of the garden, Liam stumbled upon an old painting propped against the wall. It was partially covered in dust but still striking, a landscape that seemed to breathe life into the canvas. "Wow," Liam breathed, brushing off the dust. "This is beautiful. Did you paint this?" Oliver stepped closer, his eyes lighting up with nostalgia. "That was my grandfather's work. He taught me everything I know about art." There was a hint of sadness in his voice as he spoke about his grandfather. "It's incredible," Liam said softly. "You can feel the emotion in it." Their eyes met for a moment that felt charged with unspoken understanding, a connection that transcended words. Just then, Oliver broke the gaze and chuckled lightly. "I guess I should have warned you about my grandfather's ghost haunting this place." Liam laughed along but felt something deeper stirring within him, an attraction that went beyond mere physicality. There was something magnetic about Oliver that pulled him in. As they continued discussing plans for the garden, Liam couldn't shake off the feeling that this project would be more than just landscaping. It felt like the beginning of something significant, something he hadn't anticipated. By the time they wrapped up their meeting, dusk was settling over Portland, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. "I'll send you some sketches tonight," Liam promised as they stood at the front door. "Looking forward to it," Oliver replied with a smile that made Liam's heart race. As he walked back to his truck, Liam couldn't help but glance back at Oliver standing in the doorway, a silhouette against the fading light. He felt an unfamiliar flutter in his chest. Perhaps this project would lead him somewhere unexpected. The following week, Liam found himself back at Oliver's house, armed with sketches and a newfound excitement. As he parked his truck, he noticed the garden had already begun to change under his careful planning. He had spent hours sketching ideas, envisioning how to breathe life into the overgrown space. But more than the garden itself, he was eager to see Oliver again. Oliver greeted him at the door, his smile as bright as the morning sun. "Liam, I've been looking forward to this," he said, stepping aside to let him in. The atmosphere inside was warm and inviting, filled with the scent of fresh coffee and the soft hum of music playing in the background. "Thanks for having me again," Liam replied, feeling a rush of comfort in Oliver's presence. They moved to the kitchen, where a small table was set with 2 mugs and a plate of pastries. I thought we could go over your ideas while enjoying some coffee, Oliver suggested, pouring a steaming cup for Liam. I hope you like blueberry scones. Liam took a sip and smiled. These are amazing. You really know how to make a guy feel welcome. As they settled at the table, Liam spread out his sketches, each one meticulously detailed. Oliver leaned in closer, studying the designs with genuine interest. Wow, you've really thought this through, he said, pointing at a sketch of a cozy seating area surrounded by blooming flowers. I wanted to create spaces that feel intimate and inviting, Liam explained. This area could be perfect for gatherings or quiet evenings alone. Oliver nodded appreciatively. I love it. It feels like you understand what I want without me even saying it. Their conversation flowed easily as they discussed colors, plants, and layouts. With each passing moment, Liam felt more at ease around Oliver. They shared stories about their childhoods. Liam talked about growing up in a small town surrounded by nature, while Oliver reminisced about his time spent in art classes with his grandfather. Art was always my escape, Oliver said, his eyes sparkling with passion. It's how I express myself. My grandfather used to say that art is everywhere, you just have to look for it. Liam could see the fire in Oliver's eyes as he spoke about his love for art. It was contagious, igniting something within him that he hadn't felt in years. I can relate to that, Liam admitted. Nature has always been my canvas. As they continued their discussion, a sudden rainstorm swept through Portland, drumming against the windows with an intensity that made everything feel cozy and intimate. The sound of rain created a backdrop that drew them closer together. Let's take a break from all this planning, Oliver suggested after a while. How about we go outside? The rain can be refreshing. Liam hesitated for a moment but then nodded in agreement. They grabbed their jackets and stepped outside into the cool air. The garden was alive with the sound of raindrops hitting leaves and flowers, creating a symphony that felt almost magical. Oliver twirled around playfully in the rain, laughter spilling from his lips as he embraced the moment. Liam couldn't help but join in, feeling liberated by the spontaneity of it all. They danced around the garden like children, splashing through puddles and enjoying the sheer joy of being alive. In that moment, surrounded by nature and laughter, something shifted between them, a spark that ignited an unspoken connection that neither had anticipated. As they caught their breath under the shelter of an old oak tree, their eyes met once more. Thank you for today, Oliver said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't realize how much I needed this. Liam felt his heart race at the sincerity in Oliver's gaze. Me too, he replied honestly. The rain began to lighten, and they stood close together beneath the tree's branches, an electric tension hanging in the air between them. Liam could feel every heartbeat echoing in his chest as he searched Oliver's eyes for any sign of what might come next. But just then, Oliver broke away with a playful grin. Let's not ruin this moment by getting sick. Come on, let's head back inside. They returned indoors, laughter still bubbling between them as they shook off droplets from their clothes. The warmth of the kitchen enveloped them once again as they settled back at the table. As they resumed their discussion about the garden plans, Liam couldn't shake off the feeling that something profound was beginning to blossom between them, something beautiful yet delicate like the flowers they were planning to plant. The day ended with more laughter and shared dreams as they wrapped up their meeting. When it was time for Liam to leave, he felt an unexpected heaviness in his chest, a reluctance to part ways. Same time next week, Oliver asked hopefully as they stood at the door. Definitely, Liam replied with a smile that mirrored Oliver's enthusiasm. As he walked back to his truck under a now clear sky dotted with stars, Liam couldn't help but feel that this project was becoming more than just landscaping, it was turning into something deeper, something worth exploring. The following week, Liam arrived at Oliver's house with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Their last meeting had been filled with laughter and connection, but he sensed an underlying tension that lingered in the air. As he parked his truck, he noticed the garden was already starting to take shape, the vibrant colors of blooming flowers peeking through the greenery. It was a promising sign, but Liam couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. When he knocked on the door, Oliver answered almost immediately, his smile warm yet slightly strained. Hey, Liam, come in, he said, stepping aside to let him through. The atmosphere inside felt different today, There was a heaviness that hung in the air, a palpable tension that made Liam's heart race for reasons he couldn't quite place. "Thanks for having me again," Liam replied, trying to match Oliver's enthusiasm. They moved to the kitchen, where Oliver had prepared coffee and a plate of cookies. The familiar scent of freshly baked treats filled the room, but it did little to ease the unease creeping into Liam's mind. As they settled at the table, Liam spread out his sketches once more. "I thought we could go over some ideas for the next phase of the garden," he suggested, hoping to redirect their focus. Oliver nodded but seemed distracted. "Yeah, sure," he said absently, his gaze drifting out the window as if searching for something beyond sight. Liam cleared his throat. "Is everything okay? You seem a bit off today." Oliver sighed deeply, running a hand through his hair. "I guess I've just been thinking a lot about my past lately," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's hard not to when I'm surrounded by all this." Liam felt a pang of concern. "You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to," he said gently. "But I'm here if you need someone to listen." Oliver looked at him then, really looked at him, and for a moment, Liam saw vulnerability in those bright blue eyes. "It's just, my last relationship ended badly. I thought I was over it, but being here and working on this garden has brought up so many memories." Liam's heart sank as he realized how much Oliver had been holding back. "I'm sorry to hear that," he said softly. "If you want to share more about it, I'm here." Oliver took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "We were together for 3 years. It was intense and beautiful at first, full of art shows and late-night conversations about everything under the stars." He paused, his expression shifting from nostalgia to pain. "But over time, it became toxic. We fought constantly, it felt like we were tearing each other apart." Liam listened intently as Oliver spoke, feeling an ache in his chest for the pain his friend had endured. "That sounds really tough," he said empathetically. "It's understandable that you'd feel conflicted now. I thought I was ready to move on," Oliver continued, his voice trembling slightly. "But then I meet you, and everything feels so easy and natural between us. And I don't want my past to ruin what could be something special." Liam felt a rush of warmth at Oliver's words, but also a wave of uncertainty washed over him. He wanted to reassure him but didn't know how without crossing boundaries that might make things more complicated. "Oliver," Liam began cautiously, "I think what we have is unique too. But it's important to take your time and heal from what happened before diving into something new." Oliver nodded slowly, appreciation shining in his eyes. "You're right. I just didn't expect this connection with you so soon after everything." He took a deep breath as if trying to gather himself again. "Let's focus on the garden for now," Liam suggested gently. "It can be our little sanctuary, a place where we can create something beautiful together." The tension began to lift as they returned to discussing their plans for the garden. They exchanged ideas about plants and layouts with renewed energy, laughter slowly replacing the earlier heaviness. As they worked side by side in the garden that afternoon, digging and planting together under the warm sun, Liam felt a sense of camaraderie growing between them, a bond forged through shared creativity and understanding. But as they took a break under the shade of an old oak tree later on, Liam couldn't shake off the feeling that they were walking on thin ice. One misstep could change everything. "Hey," Oliver said suddenly, breaking through Liam's thoughts. "Thank you for being so understanding today." "Of course," Liam replied sincerely. "I care about what we're building here, both in terms of the garden and whatever this is between us." Oliver smiled softly at that, and for a moment, everything felt right again. As they wrapped up their day and stood at the door saying goodbye, Liam felt an undeniable pull towards Oliver, a desire to bridge that gap between friendship and something deeper. "Same time next week?" Oliver asked hopefully. "Absolutely," Liam replied with a smile that felt genuine and full of promise. As he drove away from Oliver's house that evening, Liam couldn't help but reflect on their conversation, the fragility of emotions laid bare between them, and wondered what would come next in their journey together. The following week, Liam arrived at Oliver's house with a mix of anticipation and nervous energy. Their last meeting had been a turning point, filled with honesty and vulnerability, and he felt a newfound connection blossoming between them. Yet, there was also an undercurrent of tension that lingered in the air, a sense that they were on the brink of something significant. As he parked his truck, he noticed the garden was transforming beautifully. The flowers they had planted were blooming vibrantly, and the seating area was starting to take shape. It felt like a reflection of their growing bond, a space that was becoming more inviting with each passing day. Oliver greeted him at the door, his smile brightening the moment. "Liam, you're just in time," he said, stepping aside to let him in. The familiar warmth of the house enveloped Liam as he entered, but today there was an extra buzz in the air. "What's going on?" Liam asked, noticing the excitement in Oliver's demeanor. "I'm hosting an art exhibition tonight at my gallery," Oliver replied, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "I'd love for you to come." Liam's heart raced at the invitation. "Of course, I'd be honored," he said, trying to hide his eagerness. "What's the theme?" "It's called Nature's Canvas," Oliver explained as they moved to the kitchen. "I'll be showcasing local artists who draw inspiration from the natural world. It feels fitting, considering our work on the garden." "That sounds amazing," Liam said genuinely. "I can't wait to see it." After they shared a quick lunch together, they returned to the garden to continue their work. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as they discussed ideas for the exhibition while digging and planting. "I want this garden to reflect not just beauty but also creativity," Liam said as he planted some vibrant daisies. "It should be a space where people feel inspired." Oliver nodded thoughtfully. "I love that idea. Maybe we can even have some art pieces displayed here once it's finished, something that ties everything together." As they worked side by side, laughter flowed easily between them, each shared moment deepening their connection. But beneath that surface joy, Liam felt a flutter of nerves about attending the exhibition. He wanted to support Oliver but also worried about how their relationship would evolve in front of others. Later that evening, after finishing up in the garden, Liam returned home to get ready for the exhibition. He chose a simple yet stylish outfit, a fitted shirt and dark jeans, and took a moment to gather his thoughts in front of the mirror. He wanted to make a good impression not just for himself but for Oliver as well. When Liam arrived at Oliver's gallery later that night, he was immediately struck by the ambiance. The space was alive with color and creativity, artwork adorned every wall, and soft music played in the background. People mingled, glasses clinking as laughter echoed through the room. Spotting Oliver across the room, Liam felt a rush of pride swell within him. Dressed in a tailored blazer that accentuated his figure, Oliver looked effortlessly captivating as he engaged with guests. Their eyes met briefly, and Oliver's face lit up with recognition. "Liam," he called out, making his way through the crowd toward him. "I'm so glad you made it." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Liam replied warmly as they embraced briefly, a touch that sent sparks through him. "Come meet some of the artists," Oliver said excitedly, leading Liam through the gallery. They stopped at various pieces of art, each one telling its own story, and Oliver introduced him to several local artists who shared their inspirations and creative processes. Liam found himself immersed in conversations about art and nature, feeling more at ease with each passing moment. But amidst all this excitement, he couldn't shake off his desire to connect with Oliver on a deeper level. As they moved toward a particularly striking painting, a breathtaking landscape filled with vibrant colors, Oliver turned to Liam with a serious expression. "What do you think?" "It's incredible," Liam said sincerely. "It captures so much emotion, it feels alive." Oliver smiled softly at that, his gaze lingering on Liam's face for just a moment longer than necessary. "I'm glad you're here tonight," he said quietly. Just then, someone approached them, a tall man with an air of confidence who introduced himself as one of the featured artists. As they chatted about art techniques and inspirations, Liam felt a pang of jealousy creeping in as he watched Oliver engage so effortlessly with this stranger. Once their conversation wrapped up and the artist moved on, Liam turned to Oliver with a hint of vulnerability in his voice. "You really have a gift for connecting with people." Oliver chuckled lightly but then grew serious again. "It's easy when I'm passionate about what I do, and who I'm with." His gaze lingered on Liam again, stirring something deep within him. Feeling emboldened by their earlier conversations and the energy around them, Liam took a step closer to Oliver. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," Oliver replied, curiosity evident in his eyes. "What are we doing here?" Liam asked softly but firmly. I feel something between us, something real, but I don't want to rush it or complicate things." Oliver's expression softened as he considered Liam's words carefully. "I feel it too," he admitted quietly. But I also want to take my time after everything I've been through. Liam nodded in understanding. He didn't want to push but needed clarity on where they stood amidst all these emotions swirling around them. Just then, an announcement interrupted their conversation as Oliver was called up to speak about the exhibition and thank everyone for attending. As he took center stage, there was an undeniable glow about him. The way he commanded attention made Liam's heart swell with admiration. Oliver spoke passionately about art's power to inspire connection and evoke emotion, a reflection of everything they had been building together in both their lives and their garden project. When he finished speaking and returned to Liam's side after receiving applause from the crowd, there was an electric charge between them that felt impossible to ignore. "Wow," Liam breathed out as they stepped away from the crowd momentarily. "Thanks. That was nerve-wracking," Oliver admitted with a shy smile. "You were incredible up there," Liam said earnestly before taking another bold step forward, this time closing the distance between them completely. In that moment filled with anticipation and unspoken words hanging thickly in the air around them, Oliver leaned closer until their lips brushed against one another softly, a tentative yet electrifying kiss that ignited everything inside both of them. As they pulled away slightly breathless but smiling wide at each other amidst all this creativity surrounding them, their hearts racing, they knew this night would mark a significant turning point in their relationship, one filled with promise and possibility. The following week, the garden was abuzz with activity. Liam arrived at Oliver's house early in the morning, eager to continue their project. The exhibition had been a turning point for both of them, igniting a spark that had transformed their connection into something deeper. Now, as they stood on the brink of completing the garden, Liam felt a sense of excitement mixed with anticipation. As he stepped out of his truck, he noticed the flowers blooming more vibrantly than ever. The garden was beginning to reflect their shared vision, a sanctuary filled with color and life. Liam took a moment to appreciate the beauty around him before heading inside. "Hey, Liam," Oliver called out as he opened the door, his smile brightening the room. "I've been looking forward to today." "Me too," Liam replied, feeling a rush of warmth at Oliver's enthusiasm. "What's on the agenda?" "I thought we could finish up the seating area and start planning for some decorative elements," Oliver suggested, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I want this place to feel like an extension of my home." Liam nodded, feeling inspired by Oliver's vision. "Let's make it special, something that invites people to relax and enjoy nature." They spent the morning working side by side, laughter and playful banter filling the air as they dug, planted, and arranged furniture. The chemistry between them was undeniable, every shared glance and accidental touch sent shivers down Liam's spine. At one point, while arranging some colorful cushions on a newly built bench, Oliver turned to Liam with a serious expression. "You know, I've been thinking a lot about how much this garden means to me," he said softly. "It feels like a fresh start, a way to move forward from my past." Liam paused, sensing the weight behind Oliver's words. "I feel that too," he replied earnestly. "This garden is more than just plants, it's a reflection of who we are becoming together." Oliver smiled at that, his gaze lingering on Liam's face. "I'm really grateful for you, your creativity and your patience. You've helped me see things in a new light." Feeling emboldened by Oliver's words, Liam took a step closer. "And I'm grateful for you too, your passion for art and life has inspired me in ways I didn't expect." Their eyes locked for a moment, and Liam could see the unspoken emotions swirling between them, an understanding that transcended words. Just then, Oliver broke the moment with a chuckle. "Okay, enough sappy stuff. Let's get back to work before we turn into mush." Liam laughed along but felt a flutter of warmth at their exchange. They returned to their tasks, but the atmosphere was charged with an undercurrent of anticipation. As they worked through the afternoon, they began discussing plans for future gatherings in the garden, dinners with friends, art shows featuring local artists, and quiet evenings under the stars. "I can already imagine it," Oliver said dreamily as he placed some solar lights along the path. "The garden filled with laughter and creativity, it'll be perfect." "Absolutely," Liam agreed enthusiastically. "And we can make it even more beautiful with art installations, maybe even some pieces from your gallery." Oliver's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "That would be amazing. It would create such a unique atmosphere." As they continued their work, they fell into a comfortable rhythm, each movement synchronized as if they were dancing together in this little paradise they were creating. Later in the afternoon, after finishing up most of the planting and arranging, they decided to take a break and sit on the newly built bench surrounded by blooming flowers. "This is nice," Oliver said contentedly as he leaned back against the bench, looking up at the sky. "I could get used to this." Liam smiled at him, feeling a sense of peace wash over him as he watched Oliver relax in their shared space. "Me too," he replied softly. After a moment of comfortable silence, Oliver turned to Liam with an earnest expression. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," Liam said, curious about what was on Oliver's mind. "Where do you see us going from here?" Oliver asked carefully. "I mean, after all this work we've put into the garden and everything we've shared." Liam felt his heart race at the question. It was something he had been pondering himself but hadn't found the right moment to voice. "Honestly, I see us exploring this connection further, seeing where it leads us," he admitted. Oliver's face broke into a relieved smile. "I'm glad to hear that," he said softly. "I want to take things slow but also be open to whatever comes next." "Me too," Liam replied sincerely. "I think we're building something really special here, not just in terms of the garden but also between us." With that declaration hanging in the air between them like an unbreakable bond, they both leaned closer together on the bench as if drawn by an invisible force. In that moment filled with vulnerability and honesty, they shared another soft kiss, a gentle exploration of emotions that spoke volumes about their growing affection for one another. As they pulled away slightly breathless but smiling wide at each other amidst all this beauty surrounding them, their hearts racing, they knew they were on the cusp of something profound. With renewed energy and excitement about what lay ahead for both their relationship and their garden project, they returned to work with laughter echoing through the air. As dusk began to settle over Portland and stars twinkled above them like tiny diamonds scattered across velvet fabric, Liam couldn't help but feel hopeful about their journey together, one filled with love, creativity, and endless possibilities. The day had finally arrived. The garden was complete, transformed from a wild, overgrown space into a vibrant sanctuary that reflected both Liam's creativity and Oliver's artistic vision. As Liam parked his truck outside Oliver's house, he felt a rush of excitement mixed with a hint of nervousness. Today was not just about celebrating their hard work, it was about sharing their creation with friends and the community. As he stepped out of the truck, the scent of freshly bloomed flowers filled the air, mingling with the warm breeze that rustled through the trees. The garden looked stunning, adorned with colorful blooms and twinkling lights that Oliver had strung up for the evening gathering. Liam took a moment to appreciate the beauty of it all before heading inside. "Liam, you made it!" Oliver exclaimed as he opened the door, his face lighting up with joy. He looked dapper in a crisp white shirt and dark jeans, his hair tousled just right. "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Liam replied, returning Oliver's smile. The warmth between them felt electric as they exchanged a brief hug, and Liam could sense the excitement radiating from Oliver. "Everything is set up in the garden," Oliver said, leading Liam outside. "I can't believe we're finally here." As they stepped into the garden, Liam felt a wave of pride wash over him. Friends and neighbors were already arriving, mingling among the flowers and admiring their handiwork. The atmosphere was filled with laughter and chatter, creating a sense of community that made Liam's heart swell. "Look at this place," Liam said in awe as he took in the scene. "It's more beautiful than I imagined." Oliver beamed at him. "We did this together," he said softly, his gaze lingering on Liam's face. "I couldn't have done it without you." They spent the evening welcoming guests, sharing stories about the garden's transformation, and enjoying delicious food that Oliver had prepared. As people wandered through the space, admiring the art installations they had discussed, Liam felt a sense of fulfillment that went beyond just completing a project. It was about what they had built together. At one point during the gathering, Liam found himself standing beside Oliver near a stunning piece of art, a large canvas depicting a serene landscape that echoed the beauty of their garden. "This piece is incredible," Liam remarked, admiring the colors and brushstrokes. "It was created by one of my favorite local artists," Oliver explained, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "I thought it would be perfect for tonight." As they stood side by side, an unspoken connection hung in the air between them, an acknowledgement of everything they had shared over these past weeks. It felt like their relationship had blossomed alongside the flowers in the garden. "Can I steal you away for a moment?" Oliver asked suddenly, breaking into Liam's thoughts. Of course, Liam replied curiously as Oliver led him to a quieter corner of the garden where twinkling fairy lights hung overhead. I wanted to take a moment to thank you properly, Oliver said earnestly as they settled onto a bench surrounded by blooming flowers. This garden means so much to me, not just because of its beauty but because of what it represents for us. Liam felt his heart race at Oliver's words. I feel the same way, he admitted. It's been an incredible journey, one I didn't expect but am so grateful for. Oliver took a deep breath, his expression turning serious. I know we've talked about taking things slow, but I want you to know that I'm ready to explore this connection further, whatever that looks like. Liam's heart soared at Oliver's admission. Me too, he said sincerely. I want to see where this leads us. Just then, laughter erupted from nearby guests, drawing their attention back to the festivities happening around them. But in that moment beneath the stars and surrounded by their creation, everything else faded away. Oliver leaned closer, his eyes searching Liam's face as if seeking permission for something more. Without hesitation, Liam closed the distance between them and kissed Oliver softly, a gentle yet passionate affirmation of everything they had built together. As they pulled away slightly breathless but smiling wide at each other amidst all this beauty surrounding them, their hearts racing, they knew this night would mark another significant turning point in their relationship. The gathering continued around them as friends celebrated their hard work and creativity, laughter echoed through the air like music filling their shared sanctuary. Later in the evening, as twilight settled over Portland and stars twinkled brightly above them like tiny diamonds scattered across velvet fabric, Liam stood beside Oliver at the edge of their garden. Look at how far we've come, Oliver said softly, taking in the scene before them, the vibrant colors of flowers illuminated by soft lights and surrounded by happy faces enjoying their creation. It really is something special, Liam replied, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over him. In that moment filled with hope and possibility for what lay ahead, both in terms of their relationship and their shared dreams, they knew that this was just the beginning of their journey together. As guests began to leave and goodbyes were exchanged under starlit skies, Liam felt an undeniable sense of belonging wash over him, both in this beautiful garden and beside Oliver. Hand in hand as they walked back toward the house together under a canopy of stars, their hearts intertwined, they knew they were ready to embrace whatever came next with open arms.